Newsom. We can all argue about that guy later. I don't want to talk about it. Oh God, our politics are so embarrassing. I don't care what side you're on. Oh God, leave us alone. We just want to laugh anyway.
I was talking about stuff, but
Yeah. We love you. Please don't shoot me. Yeah. Please don't do that to me. So like, there's the Gavin passed a bunch of stuff, and it's great intention, and opening up ADUs, mother-in-law units, things like this. And one of the package deals is that he's going to give power from the state down to a local level to do this without having to go through all of the most of it environmental, most of which is done. I'm all about, right? Like I don't, I dig what the Coastal Commission's doing. I think we need to get off the coast a lot, right? Um, However, there is a problem when we're having issues with housing and we're giving it, to the banana slug or whatever, right? Like, and that does because it doesn't help the banana slug, and it doesn't help anybody, right? And so the idea is that you have this exemption rocking, and it gives you the ability to basically go with the flow, right? Is that they don't want you being the only R2 that smacks dab in the middle of an R1 and develops. Because a lot of these are being developed not for tiny houses and stuff like that. The affordable housing thing actually has a high density trip to it too, where they mandate how many houses that they need to get at whatever is considered affordable housing, and that has to do with living wage and all this kind of stuff, right? Which is really cool. I love the idea. It doesn't really do much for like people who are making a minimum wage. Honestly, I think we need to focus on a maximum wage. I don't know what this minimum wage garbage is. Like 10% of the people have 78% of the wealth. Why are we talking reverse? What do pyramids stand on their peak? Talk about a pyramid scheme, man. That sucker's falling over. Anyway, but to bypass all of that and give people an opportunity and a chance, we're going to make ADUs, grandmother-in-law units, available in this streamline to get out of things like CEQA, which is like an environmental trip that you got to do on your property that takes like, I don't know what, 40, 50 years, something like that. You need your death certificate in order for the CEQA to be verified. And so moving on from all that one, what we end up with is a way for people to, and mostly city councils and things of this nature, to zone their city as, but not as they see fit, right? To where it makes sense, right? And to where it's kind of this like middle ground, And so there isn't an instance that I know of where they have even used this yet, right? Am I tripping?
Yeah, I think it's so new. So it's a possible maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So also,
R1 to an R2.
Yeah. But
okay, so
but
it's a definite maybe.
It's a definite maybe, but when you're in definite maybe land, you're the tip of the spear. And so the spear is going to go through, because eventually there's enough people pooping in the streets where, even the homegirl rocking her brand new white Tesla sitting on her white couch is going to take notice, right? That's where you'd be like, hey, people pooping in the streets. What about health and safety? Don't you understand, right? So we're getting them into houses. How do we do that? We need to rezone. We don't want to, R1 is like off the table. I'm a tiny house guy, so I was like, is anything really off the table? I mean, come on. You can park a tiny house anywhere. Can we put them on top of each other? There's,
So,
that's what they're doing in China.
So what you're saying is, even though it's R2, R3, C1, C2, it's R1.
it could potentially be R1. Yeah, it could potentially be R1.
Yeah.
So
if we get the ducks in a row,
yes,
of going to an R1 person who owns an R1 says, hey, how would you like to spearhead?
And we already got phone calls like that.
There you go.
Yeah.
People that's in R1 that they do want to rezone.
They do.
And they have a 3/4 of an acre.
Yeah. So they have space.
3 or 4 of them in the back for their caregivers.
Right.
For IHSS specialized.
Yep.
So
blah, 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 blah.
we're working on options.
The hang up is comes down to foundational requirements and hookup requirements. If you can create an easy way, and Shasta's on the way. They're really close to being able to have the ordinance to where you don't need the foundation. Pull these things in, you put them on appropriate pilings or whatever they're going to require for the ANSI certification and things of this nature to absolve themselves of liability. and now it's under DMV and not under the purview of the building department. So it's in a manufacturer spec.
Right.
Pre-manufactured.
So it's not like a manufactured home.
Right. It's a middle ground.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's what tiny houses and the tiny house movement has been trying to do. That's known as a movable tiny house now, right? So it used to be THOW, now we have the MTH, and that new designation is what we need to incorporate into the Shasta ordinance, the one we want to do in Weed, the one we want to do in Dunsmuir, the one we want to do for all of Turtle Island. Open it up for everybody. Yeah, and also once we see more of these things proven, we're going to have a model that makes sense. And there also will be problems. I'm not like, tiny houses are,
Unicorns,
yeah.
One answer fits all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never.
Right? And
Never.
so we have to be able to change. And that's the thing is that's up to city council and that's up to local politics to hopefully head off. And so, like you were saying, do not be paralyzed.
No.
Yeah.
Analysis paralysis. Is
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
You need to keep
going.
It's the death of you.
Can't wait to have one single perfect thing exactly right, and then we move. Especially when it changes every other week anyway. So you're like, okay, I got my sandcastle exactly great. Ah, crap! All right, now we start all over again. 20 years later,
Yeah.
nothing ever
And
happened.
associations later.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
And that's the good thing about the council that we have currently in Mount Shasta is
Totally.
they're totally down with that. They're
Yeah.
like, you know what?
Cutting
We
edge.
need to do something. So
You'll
let's
have to
just move
apologize
this.
later.
We know that it's
Straight
going to
up.
probably
Yeah.
need adjustment. Let's leave it somewhat up to the market to figure out details.
Right.
We don't need to decide every single thing
Yeah.
because one, we don't know what the people really want yet. Let's let them figure it out. And then two, if we need to change something, then we change it. Like it's not a big
Well,
deal.
And the limiting factor is the property anyway, because you
Yeah.
already have the chokehold. Because Mount Shasta is A, not that big, and B, super expensive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean,
Mhm.
dollar for dollar, it's one of the most expensive ones in San Francisco. I mean, by far, right? Like
Yeah.
Upland Hills, I think, is like number one.
Because
with
of
bullet.
tourism.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, totally.
I mean,
Well, yeah, you got homes, that were worth 50, 60 grand. They're now worth $800,000, $900,000. Like they cashed out, and like up here, you're like, oh, I cashed out and I got $350. It's like, oh, you can move to Idaho.
Well, I think we
Now you
all-
can't even move to Idaho, dude.
I think
Idaho's
we
now
fall
like,
around the word worth too easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
totally
Sold for,
Yes.
I mean,
straight up
appraised for, yeah.
Right.
nailed it.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
Tuesday or Wednesday. When's your next meeting with the city?
I'm waiting on confirmation, probably Wednesday. So I'm supposed to have a meeting with the city manager, the city planning manager, and the public works director to talk more about like any tweaks we might need to be making to the ordinance,
Totally.
like updating the verbiage so it says movable tiny homes.
Yep.
Any of those, if we need to speak about specific ANSI or anything
Totally.
that would be helpful to
Totally.
make it better. Again, not unnecessarily restrictive. If
Right.
we want it as flexible as possible while also making sure that they're not open to liability.
Totally.
Right. So that sweet spot in the middle is what we're trying to
Yeah.
do.
And I really like that Shasta City Council is like stepping to the front of the spearhead, so to speak, because they recognize that we need to make a change. It needs to be drastic,
Mhm.
but it needs to be smart. And I do feel like in a lot of ways, the Shasta City ordinance is ahead of its time
Mhm.
compared to all these other ordinances
Mhm.
and what have you.
Mhm.
And then also it does have certain restrictions like the lack of R1 or whatever.
Right.
But maybe we just like open up R2, R3 now, and like you're saying, like we can
We can change it if
see
we
what
need
how
to.
it works. Yeah.
Mhm.
It'll modify. But
Right.
the other side, like what you're talking about, they're on the cutting edge and they're willing to press it,
Mhm.
knowing that there's complications or complaints or future lawsuit potentials, liabilities, because there's 30 of us
That show
at
up.
city council
That
that
show up.
shows up for general comment.
Yeah.
And we say it.
Yeah.
The people want this.
Yeah.
The people want this. So that if a frivolous lawsuit comes in the future,
Then they can confidently argue.
the
Yeah.
official
Yeah,
record
exactly.
says
We're
the
doing this
people-
because this is what the
council
people
made a
want.
decision
Right.
based on 30
Yeah.
people showing up, and so that's the other half of this.
Do you need more people showing up?
No, we're doing
Not
pretty good.
right now,
Not
but
this
definitely
year.
we make we
Dunsmuir,
put
right?
out a
We
call to
did Dunsmuir.
action when it's
We-
important for people to show up. So we will let you know.
Dunsmuir
That's
and
the other
Weed are the next
aspect to
target.
this art form,
Yeah.
is that people want to push tiny houses through, but they just say, okay, here's an ordinance, city.
Yeah.
and there's an empty room of nobody in
Yeah.
there supporting the 5
Right.
dudes that's volunteers up there.
They're like, why
And they're
should
scared of a
we?
lawsuit,
Yeah.
and scared of an email, and scared of somebody saying something from R1, even though it's not zoned in R1.
Yeah.
Because they never, and they can't do anything because the people aren't there.
Right. That's
So
when they're
that's
just like,
what
okay,
we-
well, we just put
Right.
this on the
You bridge the
agenda
gap.
for
We do-
6
we-
months
you
from
bridge the
now.
gap.
Yeah.
We
Right.
write documentation or paperwork or whatever.
Mhm.
How quickly can someone change from R1 to R2?
That's a good question.
Kim.
Not sure.
Yeah, it's
But
it's,
I
it's a
can-
new year, so we're gonna test that one, right?
And they
Because,
are
yeah.
actively also reviewing all of the lots. So everything on this map here, they're already also doing an inventory this year where they're going through, because there are some things that were not zoned properly anyway. So
Yeah.
some things are going to be reclassified. There's a few things on there that are unclassified. Like, what does that
Right.
mean? We should
That
classify it
means
as
jump on it.
something. That's what
Yeah,
we're saying. That
jump
means
on it.
we need to classify it
That
something.
means this one's gonna be
So-
a data center.
R3 sequence.
Right.
Classify this whole
So they're
huge area
already-
for tiny houses only.
Mount Shasta data center.
They're already
I'll go
actively
with that.
reviewing to make sure that there's nothing that already needs to be fixed. But then, like we said, they are also open to rezoning, and they're trying to expedite those kind of things as much as they can too.
There's a really cool
Um,
one on the backside of Spring Hill. That's like,
Oh,
yeah, you know what I'm talking
Oh,
about.
yeah.
Mhm.
I see that one as like our city of light.
Best
Like, yeah,
view of my shop.
yeah. Oh my
Dig a
god.
hole, fresh water.
Yeah, yeah. And you're kind of guarded by the Blackview, right? Because they're kind of like over your
Mhm.
shoulder. Like,
Gorgeous.
what are they
Yeah.
doing over there? Like, keep it down over there.
We're gonna
200
reclassify
acres.
it coming soon to theaters
massive.
near you.
Yeah.
Thousands of spots.
So, you know, obviously,
It's so pretty over there.
our
Yeah,
focus
ask for one
is
time.
Mount Shasta because we have this amazing opportunity with this ordinance that it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah,
But then, you know, because someone saw our work that we're doing online, they just contacted us out of nowhere. We never met these people, and they decided to donate a piece of land. So a couple months ago, we got a deed for a 1/4 acre lot in Lake Shastina. So granted, we can't do the tiny house thing there yet. So right now we're trying to figure out what's the most affordable way that we could do fire resistant construction
Right.
on something out there that we could, because of the way the county is, we could put 3 families in a home there, because we could have a single family, we could have an ADU, and we can have a junior ADU, and that is already allowed throughout California.
Right.
So we can do that in the county already. Of course, our push is to move the county to allowing the tiny house thing too. It's going to take a little time for us to get to that point. So it's just a smaller ADU. So you could like convert the garage and make it like a granny flat, or like,
Yeah.
you know, if you have someone who needs a caregiver, you know, an on-site caregiver, so you could convert that to a small little studio that you could have a caregiver that lives on site. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but when you rent it to 3 different families, we predict from the numbers we see that we could probably rent it below market rent
Mm-hmm. So it'd
Keep
still
it
be
affordable.
affordable,
and still turn a small profit at the end of the year.
Right.
so that we could
Buy them.
roll that
Yeah,
into
keep
doing
going.
something
Yeah.
else.
And that
Yeah.
can go county-wide right now.
Yeah.
State, county, city, and
Right.
HOA approved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now with that project, the focus is right now trying to figure out the most cost-effective way. It has to be fire resistant. Ideally, we
And our
would.
HOA, I'm sorry, our HOA is going to
The HOA is going.
farm this thing.
The-
Or are they going to help?
The HOA in Lake Shastina is going to have some restrictions,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they can't deter us from building the things we need to build. Their pull is what it has to look like. There's certain
the
restrictions
color,
of
the
like
fence.
Right.
the
And the
aesthetics
peak, the
and
roof.
things, right?
And the roof
Um,
and stuff. And everything environmental.
So
Design
for us right now, just trying to figure out how we can most cost effectively get, you know, the utilities in place and get a single family, an ADU and a junior ADU that we can afford to put on there, that we can get people in there as soon as possible so people have an affordable place to live. And again, fire resistant, absolute critical, affordable, absolute critical. And we would love it to also be non-toxic and eco-friendly.
Do you have to hook them up? Or
Do-
can't you just solar panel them and
Yeah,
water
micro.
tank them?
That's what Humboldt has.
And yeah,
There's ways to do it, and Appendix AQ has the language to support it. though it is restricted, the liability is restrictive for municipalities that choose to go that way because it's so, but having said that, micro solar and composting toilets and stuff like that the technology is coming up to meet the demand so that you don't have the health problems that you used to have of yesteryear. But also I don't think there's a known, disease pathogen that has crossed through composting toilets. I think it's all through animal husbandry and big ag. So it's like kind of like, why are we worried about this when these are wiping out large swaths of the population?
It's just anything that they can say to slow you down. They'll
Right.
say to slow you down.
Oh yeah.
The
But just
current
walk
tiny
around.
house ordinance in Mount Shasta does allow for micro solar systems.
Micro
Mhm.
Yeah.